Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It's her fault that she died and couldn't provide me with...
I'm not hearing any remorse or concern
nothing.
Welcome to the Golden Group Neo Marketing Podcast, a bi-weekly discussion of best practices, latest trends, and modern techniques for professional business communication, including advertising, marketing, digital channels, social media, public relations, and alternative options.
Hello and welcome to the Neo Marketing Podcast. My name is Kyle Golding. This is the Professor Pritch Pritchard. Today, we're going to discuss the absolute failure of the Michigan Attorney General. She had a very small scandal. She blew into a big deal because she responded absolutely wrong.
Well, there's a whole bunch wrong just based on what you've told me
I've only
to begin
given
with.
Pritch the peripherals of this. I'm going to actually, Pritch, I'm going to read you, I'm going to give a little slightest bit of background, but then read you paragraph for paragraph her press release, because your reaction to what she did is going to be what's telling the people out here what's wrong about it. We're going to have teachable moments,
right?
Multiple teachable moments from Dana Nessel, the Attorney General of Michigan. Before
we get into that, I do want to reference a 1997 article by our good friend Jim Lukaszewski.
Yes.
And in that, he talks about what he calls profiles of failure.
Okay.
So
this fits that.
How to really screw it up, and I can already pick out 4 or 5.
This definitely fits a profile of failure, which is why it is going to be such a teachable moment on the podcast today. Here we go. This is the press release from Dana Nessel. So directly from the Attorney General of Michigan, not her office, from her, released on social media.
Okay.
Exactly. Before I get there, I guess I'll set it up. The Attorney General of Michigan, Dana Nessel, became inebriated at the Michigan State game to a point she fell asleep in the stadium, had to be carried out, got sick in front of a lot of people and a lot of cameras and a lot of cell phones and a lot of social media.
Right.
Now, not the first public official to drink too much.
Right.
Didn't drive, didn't technically, I guess, break any laws. I don't know if being drunk in public might be, but didn't hurt anyone. But caught a lot of grief, mostly on social media, from people who were there, who literally, like I said, got their cell phone now, were taking videos and pictures of the AG being carried out.
Yeah, you can't get away with anything anymore, especially
cameras.
This
everywhere.
Was in the big house, wasn't it?
This was right. This is
100,000
people in the biggest game that happens in Michigan every year. You know, the Michigan-Ohio State game is a big game, but Michigan State, both teams ranked in the top 25. It's a big college football deal. Everyone's there. Everyone there knows the AG, and here you go. So, paragraph 1. Watch Pritch's face. For people watching the video, watch Pritch's face.
First of all,
I may not even make it through the paragraph, but the first sentence alone.
So the incident occurred on Saturday.
It was 2 Saturdays ago. It was in November 11th.
Okay.
Is when the article started coming out with this press release that caught my attention. And I said, I can't wait to talk about Pritch about this on the podcast.
When did she put it out?
The next day.
Oh.
After she sobered up.
Okay.
I know, right?
She's hungover, I guarantee you.
So, paragraph 1, I may even only get through the first sentence before Pritch has to jump down. My staff has pleaded with me to hire a crisis management PR firm for an incident that occurred on 10:30 at the UMSU, the University of Michigan versus Michigan State football game. Instead, I thought I would just share the events which transpired that fateful day.
Well, everybody's a frickin' expert in public relations, aren't they?
I have a staff, but I ignore them.
Right.
That's very professional.
Worse than that, my staff told me not to do this. But
because sometimes in public relations, especially crisis management, the right thing to do is nothing at all.
Sometimes. It's absolutely correct.
Especially if it's social media centered.
Right.
Often stuff blows up on social media and it goes away just as quickly as it comes along.
Well, we have a short attention span, so on to the next crisis.
So now she's going to explain what happened here, essentially make her excuses.
Okay.
Before the big game, I attended a tailgate on an empty stomach. Much to my surprise, MSU tailgates tend to have more alcohol than food.
Okay, so we'll take a swipe at MSU.
Step one, take a
Right.
swipe. It's someone else's fault, right?
Okay, so this
So I
is
thought it seemed like a good idea to eat, and the idea to eat 2 Bloody Marys. That doesn't make sense, but that's what it says. It's a good idea to eat 2 Bloody Marys, since as long as you put enough vegetables in them, it's practically a salad. So she put a joke in there. First an excuse, then a joke, and blame
Right.
other people.
Good. Well, yeah, that's called victim confusion, according
right.
to Lukaszewski.
As it turned out, this was not a brilliant idea. Her first self-revelation there. Also, I might be a terrible bartender. Another joke.
Oh, dude.
2 jokes in a paragraph.
This is crazy.
Okay.
This is nuts.
It gets better.
Oh, goody.
Paragraph 3. I proceed to go to the game, which I'm told Michigan definitely won. Another joke. And started to feel ill. Not quite ill, but we'll take that. Okay. I laid low for a while. She didn't actually. But my friends recommended that I leave as to prevent me from vomiting on any of my constituents. Parentheses, polling consistently shows Roman showers, in quotes, to be unpopular among most of my demographics. End of the parentheses. Another joke and a term. I've never even heard this term, but this is disgusting.
It is.
She
Absolutely disgusting.
She did throw up.
Yes.
Here's the narrator says she did throw up.
Right.
So her staff asked her to leave. She didn't. She fell asleep in the game. Do you know how hard it is to fall asleep in a football game with 100,000 people
yelling?
And then she threw up. So let's go on to the next paragraph.
So
Or you want to break that one down?
So there's arrogance, which is one of Lukaszewski's
Okay. There you go.
profiles in failure.
Yes.
Right. And I think a little bit of what he calls it, testosterosis.
Okay.
Testosterosis.
Am I recognizing some testosterone in there somewhere?
Yep, absolutely. Reluctance to apologize, express concern or empathy, or to take appropriate responsibility because we'll set a precedence, we'll look like sissies. I mean, that's, and the other is to look for ways to hit back.
Well, a little bit that's happening
That's
here.
what she's doing.
She's definitely hitting back. The whole press release essentially was unhappiness about her treatment on social media, which she earned because she got drunk in public.
Right.
So
casting dispersions immediately on her staff.
Not taking
responsibility.
any responsibility or seriousness. There are a lot of people who say, sure, I've gotten blackout drunk before. It's not recommendable. It's not a good idea. And there's safety issues. Luckily, she had people around her,
right?
Especially as a female. And I'm not trying to be sexist about it, but ladies who are inebriated become targets. Unfortunately, I hate to say. So I'm happy she had support around her to make sure that didn't happen.
Me too.
So
she didn't drive.
No, and she explains that in the next paragraph.
Okay.
So I had a few folks help me up the stairs, and someone grabbed a wheelchair as to prevent me from stumbling in the parking lot. So no one else could use that wheelchair. She was in it. Like all smart people attending festivals where drinking occurs, she declares herself smart. I had a designated driver. So fantastic. And I would assume, honestly, my relations with people in government at that level, they typically do have drivers in security.
Right.
So I had a designated driver. I went home, fell asleep on the couch, and my wife threw some blankets on me and provided me with some water and Tylenol for what she knew would be a skull-crushing hangover the next day. Parentheses, best wife ever, with an exclamation point. So she explains she did have a designated driver.
Right.
She went home and got sick, but again, trying to make light of the situation. By describing the hangover and giving platitudes to her wife for being, I guess, patient with. And again, we've all had too much to drink and had someone else had to take care of us. We understand it, not as the Attorney General of a state,
right? But
in public. But there you go. So next paragraph. So there's a scandalous tale of the events which transpired at Tailgate Gate. Everything has a gate in it after all.
Yeah, if it's a worthy crisis, you have to put gate in there.
Then she has, you're going to love this next joke, which is in parentheses, outside of sentence, so it didn't even make sense. Also, at the same point, it seemed like a good idea to make the governor take a picture with Ron Weiser. Sorry, Governor. Another joke. Just so one doesn't have the image of this scene might have looked like, I attached a handy photo. And in the photo, she is slumped over in her chair, ball cap pulled down over her head, sleeping essentially. So she took the one seemingly innocent photo of the event and attached it as proof of something. Normally, I would have trusted friend or communications savant Kelly Roseman McKinney for advice on how to best handle this crisis. But she died last night, so I can't. End of paragraph.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It's her fault that she died and couldn't provide me with...
I'm not hearing any remorse or concern for Kelly and her family.
No.
She calls her a trusted friend.
Right.
And
no empathy
there at all. She just stated that she died.
She died.
So she can't help me.
She can't help me. Right.
Folks, come on. Do we have to tell you
this is freaking
how bad that looks?
Idiotic.
And again, that's the paragraph. That's
it. Man.
Now, she goes on to another paragraph, not to mourn her friend or express the respect due to make excuses for herself. Thus making that last paragraph even more impactful for the failure that is happening here. Yes?
Yeah.
Next paragraph. I am human. Sometimes I screw up. This was definitely one of those times. My apologies to the entire state of Michigan for this mishap, but especially that Michigan fan sitting behind me. Some things you can't unsee. Another joke.
All right. Well,
another joke, and has clearly moved on from the death of her dear friend.
Right. Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible.
So, last two paragraphs. From now on, I pledge to never drink on an empty stomach. Not never drink to excess, but on an empty stomach.
Right.
Details.
Right.
And I definitely never have another Bloody Mary. A joke. Because it's going to cause, she started the sentence with cause. Not because, but cause. Because it's going to take a while to get that taste out of my mouth. Ba-ba-boom. We need like a rim shot.
Dude, we do need rim shots to accompany this.
Another joke. So that paragraph was all jokes.
She should not be at the open mic at any comedy club in the world.
Nor does anyone have any confidence in their attorney general in the state of Michigan.
Exactly.
After the drunken display in public and now this response. And if you're one of her dear friends, just don't die.
Just don't die because you let her down.
Yeah, because she might need you for something. So there's that. And she ends the post here with, sorry to all the people who have supported me for letting you down. I will try to do better.
Wow.
So that's her
kinds
statement.
of wrong.
That's the official statement of Tailgate Gate from the Michigan Attorney General, Dana Nessel.
Man.
And obviously there's a ton of social media and video and photographic evidence that comes along with it.
Right.
Also, if you were to Google Dana Nessel drunk, there are 43,400 responses to that inquiry from places like People Magazine, the New York Post, and Detroit and other Michigan NBC News. But Detroit and Michigan media outlets, NBC News, Fox News, The Hill, that's Detroit News, Independent, The Independent. That's just the first page of Google, folks. So she did this and then goes against the advice of her staff and puts out her own personal statement, which makes things seem to me 100 times worse.
Oh, that's the most pathetic excuse.
I don't think she makes Jim's list of failures. I think she may be
she's the poster
bright and
child.
Shining poster child is a great term for what the attorney general has done here.
Denial. Victim confusion, testosterosis,
and keep going.
Arrogance. What else do we have here? Whining,
deflection.
Yeah. It's really bad.
And then she insulted her dear friend who passed away.
Right.
against the advice of her staff. I'm a big stickler of, hire an expert, get out of their way.
Right.
I hate it when people want to hire you and then ignore your advice.
Right.
That dislike for that concept is a billion times amplified when we're talking about crisis management.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? The key to crisis management is to start off in the right way,
right,
to mitigate, not expand upon, not amplify.
Right. Yeah, we've talked a lot about how to deal with victims, perception and reality. Truth.
Owning up.
Transparency.
Right.
Yeah, accepting responsibility.
It seems to me the only transparency here was an additional information that was pertinent to the subject was she had a designated driver.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But to be honest with you, she physically couldn't have driven anyway.
Right.
She was literally passed out.
Right.
So there was none of those factors that are beneficial in public relations, in crisis communication, in dealing with something like this.
And to try and be funny about it.
Flippant, I believe, is a good way to term it.
Arrogant. Absolutely.
Yes.
Jeez, Louise.
Much like, the little people that go to football games and drink Bloody Marys is how I felt when I read it the first time. And trust me, the first time I read this, I screamed out, I cannot wait to have a discussion with Pritch about this, about how bad this is.
Absolutely. This is bad.
And so what probably was a one-day affair.
Maybe.
At the end of the day, you know what most people cared about? The Michigan State football game.
Right.
But she actually made things worse.
Oh,
in multitudes of ways.
Absolutely.
Multitudes of ways. I'm super curious.
Is there a call for recall?
I was about to ask. We were thinking about it re-election time.
Yeah.
She's complete fodder for whoever wants to run against her when it comes to re-election
absolutely.
Time. Because, just how who wants an AG who's this embarrassing to all of us?
Right, exactly. That's terrible. There must be something in the water up there.
Their politics are kind of a breed apart. It's the cold. I blame it on the cold. It's too cold for me up there.
Maybe so. Froze her brain, apparently.
Sure, and I think it was a nice day at the football game. It makes it even worse. It's not cold yet, but it gets cold in Michigan.
Man.
I salute you folks in Michigan. I can't live in that. I can't live in it.
I can't handle that cold anymore. Absolutely.
But
this is ridiculous. I want to share this with my crisis communications class.
There you go. And then there's another element here too, though. I think public figures have a different expectation about privacy and things of that nature, right, than a private citizen. This isn't, I'm sure there were plenty of people in the stadium that day that had too much to drink. They had to be carried out, maybe got sick in front of people, maybe got sick on someone next to them. Right.
It
happens at football games.
Right.
Not ideal, but these things do happen. But when you are in an elected public official, you're a public figure, you do know the media treatment is different.
Absolutely.
Then you also
know. And your right to privacy goes right away.
And you also, but again, going back to this point, you have a staff who helps you with these things.
Right.
And even though maybe the best person for the job died.
Yeah.
I hate to hear
terrible.
that. I hate to hear that someone died apparently unexpectedly.
Absolutely.
At the very least, when they were at the top of their game. But you still have staff. There are still resources for you. Or at the end of the day, you can just be a professional. We're talking about the Attorney General of a state. We're not talking about some average Joe Blow.
Yep.
Someone who I'm going to assume has a high level of education, who has experience, who understands these things because their job demands it of them.
Yeah.
There's no way that she rose to this level by accident.
Arrogance
so then
with
to
a
be
capital A.
To be this bad at it and to be so disrespectful to her staff too.
Right, absolutely.
I would probably counsel if any of you are still working for her a few weeks later, sucker, get another job.
Get another job.
Your boss is making you look bad.
Yep.
And
throwing you under the bus.
The whole point of of hiring an expert and getting out of the way, whether they're staff or third party, etc., though, is the other person, they're part of your relationship, your working relationship. You have to respect the professionalism they bring, and when you don't, like this case, you actually denigrate everyone who works around you and with you, and specifically the people who are giving you advice that you ignored.
Well, she thinks she's the smartest person in the state,
There you go.
and she just demonstrated she's the stupidest person in the state.
She did not prove herself to be particularly bright in this situation, and took a situation that would have passed quickly and put it into 43,400 results on Google.
Oh yeah, let's take some gasoline and pour it on the fire.
Right.
I mean, good night.
And on top of all that, because the level she works at, the Attorney General of the state, the office that is existing, no matter who's in the office, there's structure, there's staff, there's infrastructure, there are plans or protocols. We hope there's protocols, but maybe there are plans in place for a reason. All of this has been built to support this office.
Right.
And then the individual, through her arrogance, hubris, etc., just ignores the system that was there to benefit and support them, and just does their own thing out of pure arrogance.
Absolutely. And
It makes it hard to work for that person.
Absolutely.
And it may make it hard for people to vote for that person in the future.
We see an awful lot of this lately.
Right.
And it's I'd laugh if it wasn't so sad.
I had a little bit of a chuckle at the beginning of it, and before I could get past the second paragraph, I was already taking notes about how we could discuss this on the podcast, because it is a learning experience.
It is.
It is a teachable moment.
Absolutely.
Everyone should be able to learn from their mistakes, but you can learn from other people's mistakes as well.
You betcha.
And we have now given details of multiple infractions happening here,
Right.
along with the fact that the top crisis
Right.
communication people like Jim Lukaszewski talks about you can't do these things. And I think the article I would assume is probably like you shouldn't do any of these things. Not all of them.
Not all of them. Right.
If you do all of them, it makes you the poster child for failure.
It's not bonus points to do all of them. It's terrible. Well, first of all, you got to. You're right. That first sentence, that first paragraph.
Summed it right up, didn't it?
Yep, absolutely. She should be ashamed of herself.
So, to the great people of the state of Michigan, we're sorry.
Our condolences.
We're sorry that you're having to deal with that and go through that. Maybe someday you'll have a more professional attorney general in that position. It's up to you. It's up to the voters now. We'll see what happens in the future. College football is great this time of year.
Yeah.
But, folks, don't drink too much. Even
Right.
if you're not a public figure, if you're just a private citizen,
Right.
don't drink too much. Definitely have a designated driver.
Right.
Don't put yourself in bad, dangerous situations by imbibing too much. And if you get in a situation where you've created a kerfuffle for yourself and for your personal image, your personal brand, no matter who you are, think it through. Be smart.
Own it.
Own it. There's a ton. We've given a ton of advice on this podcast. Go to other episodes of this podcast about crisis communication. If you hire a professional, do what they ask you to do. Get out of their way. But at the end of the day, like you said, own it. Rip that Band-Aid off. Take your medicine. If you messed up, if you didn't mess up, defend yourself.
Right.
And be done with it.
Yep.
Just simply be smart about it. Be real about it. Be a human being about it. Understand how other human beings can be affected by your bad behavior. Learn from it. All you PR professionals learn from this as well.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to that, if you're counseling your client and they ignore you like that,
Right.
you need a better boss or a better client.
Right. Absolutely.
So that is the tidbits for today. We've had a lot of fun with this one, but it is a serious topic, a serious subject.
It's sad.
And could be dealt with, obviously, tremendously better. And not that this particular individual didn't deserve some scorn from the media,
Right.
because they did,
Right.
they did something that's
Showed
out
out
of
in
character in public. That's not acceptable to polite society, if you will. But it didn't have to rise to this level of scrutiny unless that person handled it.
So
wrong.
she and instead of just average citizens giving her grief, now she's got the media
rightfully
giving
so.
her grief.
Rightfully so.
Yep.
And and she probably insulted her friend's family.
I'm sure.
So, lots of lessons here, folks.
absolutely.
To check the notes here, we'll link to the article about all the things you should not do in crisis management.
Yep.
And of course, again, look on the podcast series for anything that involved crisis management. We will tell you the best way to do it because you have protocols in place.
Absolutely.
Not plans, and you pay attention to those professionals you pay to support you in that.
You bet.
Until next time, good luck.
Ciao.
This has been the Golden Group Neo Marketing Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Tell a friend, leave a review, and engage with us on social media. Thanks for listening.